Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Odessa, the Dark Crusade. In this episode tonight, Memnon is currently going about his business in the merchant's quarters. He's going to try to find someone to help him fill up on his prerequisite need for blood. As he imagines tonight that he's going to have a lot of front and personal business that requires a hands-on approach. So, in the merchant's quarter. And yes, probably considering this evening, pickings might be slim. Memnon is able to successfully, without endangering himself or anyone else for that matter, breaking silence of the blood, he does successfully acquire most nourishing blood that he needs. Yes, when he has found an individual that he would manipulate into a advantageous position that he could feed upon, and keeping them silent with his powers of dominate. Yes, he will proceed to the guild hall, as he has a meeting with another denizen of Odessa.
Yes, as time has went by with Memnom's feeding, Al Qadir and his humble era in the Jewish quarters has woken up for the night and took his minor tithe from his farmers that he assists and works with. Um, he was told that they may be on a minor reconnaissance job, so he does not feel that he needs too much blood for the evening. The simple tithe from his farmers should be suffice. And he waits for the agreed meeting place with Memnon before they begin on their journey.
Yes, you would find Memnon just outside the guild hall of the blacksmiths. Not knowing if you've been in there before, it would just be a courtesy waiting outside for you, as he doesn't know if you knew the inner layout of the place and where exactly his workstation is. But yeah, you would see him just around the entrance.
No. Seeing Memnon, Kadir will hail him with a gesture. So, good evening, Memnon. Said I said I'm hoping this little endeavor won't be too exciting. We're just looking for particular individuals, correct?
Yes. Though I should warn you that the last time they saw me, it was something of a conflict. So do not be alarmed if perhaps they are violent in their reaction. Though I'm sure I can persuade them to play nice and negotiate.
I must ask, what what I said as a blacksmith, are these people affecting your wares, or your customers, why not get the city guard to deal with such a thing?
It's rather personal.
Hmm.
They're they came to me requesting blades and armaments. They had set out to find this beast that was harassing travelers on the road. Given the nature of this beast, which I presume is unnatural, they blamed my steel lacking an edge and the quality of my craftsmanship. Cannot let that stand. As a smith, my reputation is everything. I would never put a dull blade in a man's hand, especially if he paid the fair price for it.
As I welcome your integrity and pride in such a matter, we are we are not witch hunters. We're just simple men, and going after supposedly beasts of what you described to me seems, to be frankly, unwise, especially just for the two of us.
It is not this evening, nor can I say if quite ever, if I would go after this beast. However, there is a person of interest who would like to speak with these gentlemen. I simply seem to facilitate this meeting.
He Kadir sighs a little bit, less that he is dissatisfied, it's more like best way he's concerned, not necessarily nervous or scared, just concerned. Um, because he's not aware of your nature of things, and he's trying to keep a facade. This seems odd for a human blacksmith to be so invested with a beast hunt just because someone thinks your weapons were inadequate.
Um, well, I don't think my mom would necessarily try and read all that. He's probably just more or less focused on, he's got something to handle, and he's just invited you to come along. If I mean, again, he was expecting you to come tonight for business pertaining to your own tool set. So if you come along later, that's kind of up to you. So I guess Memnon would he'd say well, Alkadir, I do understand your precaution, and it's not my place to tell you how to handle your own business. Though I would suggest the hands on approach of at least knowing firsthand what could be a threat to your own business is a prudent course for any leader of men.
And he does nod in agreement. I was told when I moved here that there has been attacks from the same beast that you described, and a bit of social unrest with a particular family near the farmlands. So they do concern me greatly. So, but uh, I will trust you in this matter that this should be a simple investigation at this point. If anything were to arise, we simply leave and make sure to contact the proper authorities.
Right. No need for bloodshed. Probably Memnon might kind of smile at that. Let's see. Evan, if it's okay with you, can Memnon just grab his armor real quick?
Sure. I see no issue with that.
Uh,
You're near your place, aren't you?
Yes, yes.
So you could
Oh,
easily go do it.
are you openly saying, "Hey, I'm gonna grab some effects real quick" to Kadir, or are you just kind of go like, "Wait one moment" and you leave to your abode?
Yeah. Memnon would just like he's not gonna go to his house. He's gonna like step into the shop real quick and grab his gear.
Yeah. As you come out with your armor, Kadir kind of raises an eyebrow, and and again he kind of sighs in concern and said in concern.
Yeah, it's a composite armor. I believe that's what class 3 is. Um, you might see like a um, studded leather piece. Um, and Memnon would probably just say, as I've said, things might get violent, just in case.
Well, I don't have any appraisal skills, so the armor does look nice, but I don't know the true quality because that's just one level before medium armor, if I remember correctly. So it's decent stuff, and it's not easy to get a hold of either. But he would know that. I don't have appraisal.
Okay, so Evan, is there a role that we should perform to try to find them, or
Yes, it's going to be uh, again, since there's no streetwise in Dark Ages, no reason we'll use investigation. We're going to use investigation. It'll probably have to. It will be intelligence investigation, or if you want to, I might do it a different way. If you want to use charisma investigation, you talking to people to see if maybe they know who this guy is or whatever. Maybe they like you enough, they might tell you. I mean, those are the two options I can think of.
okay? Well, in a matter of dice, it'll be all the same between those two. But yeah, I'll go with intelligence, charisma. I mean, sorry, intelligence investigation. If it was 6, I got 3 success.
Two. It was a little bit higher than 8. Because I mean, you don't really know the guy's name, so.
Right.
But luckily for you, your description of this of these group of men is rather enough that a few of the people that you kind of walk around in the area uh, do recall a group of men like that. Many times, hitting the various taverns and in the company of very unsavory folks, not thief men, like more like uh, Memnon probably can guess. Basically, people who shake down other people for money, that kind of thing. Maybe they've fallen into a group of that nature, but they don't really know for certain. They just say that we just see these guys that you're talking about they're around in various drinking places, and we see them with a lot of unsavory people. That's all they really tell you.
So a tavern of sorts might be the best place to try to find.
Yes, like that's usually, as it is with many RPG stories, the best place to go to find people.
Right. Okay. So, I guess yes. Memnon would, if Alkadir is around while talking, he'll just convey that to him. Like, perhaps we should find these men in one of these taverns. Um, considering how considering how rough these men were, is there a way Memnon could kind of how do I put this? Could you just like guess me like if they would be like in the rougher side of town or 'cause I would think that like they'd be in like the rougher neighborhoods.
You could probably you would probably, for Memnon anyway, he would think that of the places that they would go to, they would probably be in the slums or they would be in Riverside. Those would be the two areas. If you're looking for incredibly, rough and dangerous places, those are the places that they would be.
Okay. Yeah, Memnon will convey that to Al-Qadir. He'll ask him, between the slums and Riverside, which are far apart, there'd be a lot of ground to cover. Which place do you think we should look into first?
Hmm. Oh, what do we know about this particular individual that saw the beast?
Well, I know that they were rightfully scared. Although, it's strange, they did have a lot of coin. Much coin. The arms I provided them were top quality. So, perhaps not necessarily poor, but such gold and being as mercantile as they are. Dare not say they're necessarily criminals, but perhaps they're professional thugs.
Hmm. Well, if I know anything about more people with a brigand's mindset, I either are with with ale, with sleep, or with ale and woman. So possibly checking out a tavern that leans to that persuasion might be the best place to go.
I do remember a man in Riverside who may just be able to point us in the right direction. Come, follow me. And by that, Evan, I mean to seek out Honest Jim. Once again, I haven't quite seen that individual in a long time.
So you two are traveling to Riverside?
Yes.
All right. As you move from your current destination towards Riverside, Riverside, as much as it is usually a place of kind of quiet tension, there's always something about that place where you're uncertain of when something will happen. You're uncertain if it would be a mugging or just some gang related activity. Nobody can say for certain. But there's always a kind of a tenseness there. And quite more so with some of the gang related activities that have been going on there. But getting into the Riverside itself, kind of looking around, you do hear a voice coming from an alleyway. And it's a fairly familiar uh, name sound.
Oh, so Jim's speaking, and I recognize his voice.
Yes, he's in a very darkened alleyway.
I think Memnon would approach him, like not try to sneak up on him, but he would approach him quietly. He wouldn't just yell out, "Oh, hey, Jim." Approach him until Jim recognizes him. He'll say, "Good evening, Jim. It's been quite a while."
It would certainly seem so, sir. I mean, come on in out of the cold. My abode is always open for such. He looks over at Al-Qadir. Gentlemen.
Yes, this is my companion and business partner. If you don't mind, would you take him in as a guest as well?
Well, I could hardly be a lordship if I did now, wouldn't I? Come in quickly now before anybody else sees you. Quite frankly, you're quite lucky someone didn't just come and pilfer the clothing off his back, be left in nothing but his long shorts.
Memnon kind of laughs, but he'll take Al-Qadir by like the shoulder and just kind of like, yeah, let's get inside. I kind of forgot that, yes, Al-Qadir is a little bit more in fancy dress than required in Riverside.
He'll begin to walk closely with Memnon, though as he does, he kind of cover his eyes and a little bit in I guess in pain because I botched my my soul gaze roll, so it's like kind of like an abrupt kind of headache kind of motion, like something just kind of hit him internally. But he says nothing as he walks with Memnon into this particular area.
And you guys come inside to what's basically a squalid room, if anything. There is kind of a patched up door that's kind of pushed in. And basically to kind of resemble a door. It's not really a door. It's like a piece of a roof that fell over, and he just took it. There is a lot of various things, pottery, like bowls and things like that. There's like a small, incredibly rusty-looking pot that you would assume he cooks his food in. It, like I said, incredibly rusty. It's like if you were still human and you ate that stuff, you would definitely get rust shavings in that thing. It is not healthy for anyone, but he perhaps that explains his physical with the various little sores and stuff that he has upon him, or it could be his fancy of prostitutes. I don't know, can't tell you. But you're within this place, and he goes, and what can honest Jim do for two gentlemen such as yourselves?
If you don't mind, Evan, oh my God. Yeah, I think Memnon would, if he eyes that pot, he'd just point out to Jim, like, I could fix that for you.
If you want to, you can do so. Or say it to him.
Yeah. Hearing what Jim's statement, Memnon kind of just in his triggered trance of seeing a metal pot in such bad condition, he'll pick it up and look at it and say, Jim, if you need a new one, it wouldn't be a problem if I reforge this for you. I don't think this is healthy.
As you take his pot, he will take it back from you, and he will kind of give you a very dramatic, kind of scoffing harumph to Memnon. So what you're looking at right here is top quality chamber pot is what you have. I found this thing when one of the noble families during the plague decided to relocate. That's the proper word, relocate. Found it, cleaned it out, and quite frankly, it is the best pot to cook things in I've ever had in my life. Far better than the numerous earthenware that has been cropping up recently. And he just puts it back near the where you can assume the kitchen things are. It's most of it is all things that look like it's been pilfered from either from homes or were basically trash. That's basically his stuff.
Right. Okay, Memnon will just give Jim like a squinting glare, now knowing that he's eating out of what used to be a chamber pot. Fine. The judge. But yes, Memnon will say, well, Jim, me and Kadir are looking for gentlemen. We'll give him a rough description of what he looked like, the type of helm he wore, and he'll just specify that they were a group of individuals that had set out to claim some bounty on this beast that's lurking outside in the forests of Odessa. That helps.
Yes, oh yes, I have heard about whatever it is out there. I have heard some rumors that some of the people that have gone out there to hunt this thing have seemingly can't seem to find it again. It's as if it's disappeared. Of course, if one was to even think about it, it wouldn't make much sense for a creature to stay around in one place. Of course, if you think of it even again, it's probably not even a thing in the first place. Probably mercenaries and bandits dressed up to scare people, after all.
That could be a possibility, but the beast itself is not my concern. It is with the man. He stains my honor by suggesting that the weapons and armaments I crafted for him were... Cannot let that stand. So, rest assured, I'm not seeking to injure the man, simply to conversation with him.
I see. Well, I mean, if you're looking for someone who's been talking ill of armories, well, you'd have to get in line. I'm fairly certain there are plenty of men and mercenary men who've felt disgusted with their armor attires.
Where would we go to find mercenary men of his ilk? Is there a particular tavern that they would venture to? Here in Riverside? Elsewhere you might think of?
He kind of rubs his very ratty beard. Well, there is one place that would be probably the place where you would look for. It's known as the what was it? Right. It was known as the Donkey's Horse, son. Yeah, I remember that place. Met Sweet Petunia there a good couple of nights ago.
The donkey's horse, son.
Yes. Apparently, the The reason it was called that, my good sir, is
I
because,
think we don't need the details on such things.
well,
Gee.
that is fair enough for your sensibilities, my lord. But that is the name of it, and I am fairly certain if you're looking for a place for men of incredibly rough caliber, that is the place that they will be.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate your knowledge. I know that your knowledge is, well, has a value. Memnon will go into his coin purse and offer some coin. I'm not really sure what would be adequate.
He will graciously take your coin,
And
and he will just count it a little bit, and he will put it away in one of the various little kind of cut patches upon his clothing. And he goes, right, before you two go on this little adventure, I would say to your friend here, pointing to Al-Qadir, that it would be better for you to not wear that to that establishment. If you do so, well, there is no guarantee you will find what you are looking for. In fact, you might just find yourself unconscious in a alley somewhere with your clothing ripped off and perhaps sodomized. You certainly look womanly enough for some of the folks around there.
Kadir narrows his eyes at Honest and says, and simply states, I can understand your wisdom on referring to my clothes to be overly formal for that area, but I will not allow you to imply that I am going to be sodomized by random folks.
I am not saying you will be, sir. I am simply stating a certain possibility. You, sir, do not know the men at the Donkey's Horse, unlike I do. Trust me. They will. I would not assume you to understand. You've never been to debtor's prison, have you?
And he simply shakes his head.
Well, there, some of those men have come from, and they know exactly what it is that they have missed, and some of them still won't. It's very things that a man is done to in such places warps the mind. I would feel deeply saddened if that were to happen to you, my lordship.
your advice and caution is noted. I think though we can dispense with the graphic of what would happen. Yes, should we fail to protect ourselves, we would be in much danger. Understood.
Yes. Now, if you wish to leave through a more secured place, I can lead you to it so you don't draw as much suspicion.
Memnon would look to Kadir and kind of mouth, yeah, we should do that. Like, shaking his head like, yeah, let's do that.
Kadir, well, not in agreement, but he still has a look of distaste when his vision goes back to Honest Jim.
And with that, you will see him go to a part of other side of this building, I guess, if you want to call it that. And he kind of taps on the wall a little bit in certain places. And then he just taps one part in the right spot, and it just kind of pops itself open a little bit, and he just kind of pulls it aside. And you can see this very makeshift looking, not necessarily a tunnel, but it looks more like a hallway, kind of made from these two buildings, kind of close together. That has some kind of stuff kind of on the top of it, kind of remnants of rooftops and things like that. And he simply goes, "Well, gentlemen, the night is still young. Let us venture forth then."
And we are in a position where the sky is not to us, correct?
Yes. The way that it's been, like I said, the rooftops and things have been kind of put together. It has basically made it where it's very much like almost like a tunnel. There are some kind of missing pieces, so there are remnants of like where moonlight can come through, but very much of them very small slivers.
All right. And
Sorry about that.
And with that, everybody is on their way. All three of you move through the kind of very makeshift hallway, and you pass by a few places where you can certainly hear the sounds of people arguing about something. You can't really tell, though it's been very muffled with something or another. Perhaps pieces of cotton have been kind of placed in places to kind of keep it quiet, or at the very least, decently quiet. So you hear muffled sounds. There's arguing. There is drink and celebration. You hear people indulging their carnal appetites. But eventually, you get to the other side of this kind of hallway tunnel, and you find yourselves in the area, and you see the battered, very morose building of the Donkey's Horse, and you can hear just incredibly loud yelling, laughing, scuffling. Music is going on in the place.
Okay. And let's see. Can I make some perception-based roll to see if I can eye that man, if he's wearing similar attire that he did last time?
You can certainly attempt to. The difficulty will be 7.
You want an investigation or an alertness?
Let's go with investigation.
Investigation. Okay.
Al-Qadir, if you can roll me a perception alertness, that would be nice.
Would my acute sense of sight come into play?
I will I would say no, in that you don't really know if he is wearing the same outfit. I mean, you kind of remember it, but I mean, at the same time, it's been a very long time. So I will say for this one, you'll have to be lucky.
Um, I do have aspects of 2. Can I activate that as I feel that I'm being watched or anything like that?
Uh, I will say, uh, sure, sure.
Okay. Then would that lower my difficulty or?
Yes, I believe it lowers the difficulty. You, let's see. Yeah, you get one success on your thing,
All right.
because I will be nice. I will be lenient for today. uh, as Memnon is kind of searching for this individual, kind of scanning over in the to see if that person is there. Uh, Al Kadir, as you are getting the inkling that you are being either watched or something of that nature, you feel. Uh, Let me see if I can find it. You do kind of sense a uh, there he is. You sense a somewhat cold breeze kind of come over you, very slightly, and a gentleman wearing very simple attire uh, kind of looks uh, around as he is going into the bar itself, and that's pretty much what you see basically.
All right. Um, as this is happening, Kadir will kind of whisper to the Memnon, "Do you see him?"
Let's see. With 2 8s, do I see him? Heaven?
Uh, for for yours, Memnon, yes, you do see the gentleman. He's not wearing the same clothing. He's wearing somewhat nicer clothing, but he's still wearing the helmet
Okay.
that he had.
Okay.
Uh, he bumps into the other person that Kadir had seen, and the this gentleman Memnon sees allows him to come inside before he kind of looks around the area as if he's suspicious about something, but then he goes into the bar itself again.
Okay. Um, then Memnon will point him out for here. Yes, that's him over there. I can
Um,
approach him directly. You suggestion.
as Kadir focuses on the man, he will open up his senses and begin a soul gaze on a particular individual. And he will botch again, and again he kind of closes his eyes and in pain. And he just kind of rubs like, sorry. I don't know what's been coming over me tonight, but if he's a guard, if you want to ask him for information, I would say if you have enough coin, that'd probably make this the easiest.
Memnon kind of scoffs at the idea of coin. Yes. Is there a guard at the door? Because I'm sorry, I did have to step away while you were doing a lot of the description.
There are not really any guards outside. This place is rowdy enough that if there were, they kind of let things take care of themselves.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Okay.
But you do hear a lot of a very boisterous sound coming from the establishment. Someone is obviously enjoying themselves in there.
Right. Okay. Then yeah, Memnon would say, don't worry, Kadir. I am all of the guard that you need. He'll just step forward and trying to follow that gentleman inside.
And as you, both of you move to go inside, you can see the inside of the establishment for itself, and it is very much like how Jim described it. Very rough. There is broken stuff everywhere. There are places where there are buckets of stuff in them. You see prostitutes flirting with men there. Some are even in the very back somewhere. Perhaps you even hear the sounds of someone being used in such a manner. And you see a very large Norse-looking man who is drinking heavily, convorting rather loudly with the smaller Arab-looking man. Both of them, one with a lute, the other with looks to be a slightly modified one with Celtic, Nordic, kind of various things kind of carved upon it. And you do see the Memnon, you do see the gentleman that you are looking for. He is sitting with a few people. You can surmise that they are the men that he was with, and there are a few women with them.
Out of character, Memnon's just such a direct approach, just bite the bullet and get it over with kind of guy. But being in Al-Qadir's company, he'll turn to Al-Qadir and say, again, and whispering in his ear, again, Qadir, there might be violence if I do approach them directly. Not that I mind, but perhaps if you're not in the mood for that kind of a night, if you wished to approach them for an offering of a job, well, it could make it easier to position them in a much more private dealing, whereby I watch your back. But if you don't mind, I'll just go up to them and ask.
Allow me to prepare myself. I can't. I will assert myself first. And As he states that, I'm going to try again and hopefully not botch. Third time's a charm, as they say. Oh, I only failed this time, so I don't have a headache. And after a moment of breathing, Kadir will begin to present himself to these particular individuals.
What exactly is it that he's going to be doing?
Um, the guy we're looking at and the person with the loot. Kadir is going to approach them.
Okay. As Kadir is approaching them, you are interrupted by the Nordic man who goes, "Look at this man here. His dress far too girly. Come, my friend, look at this man here. He is ridiculous in his attire."
And Kadir will respond in Slavic, goes, "My attire is appropriate for the jobs that I attend to."
And again, the Nordic man laughs heavily. "Finally, an educated man. It is such a disaster to speak my native tongue within such a place. Many cannot understand the subtlety, and you can tell right away from his voice is very slurred. He has been drinking rather heavily. The other gentleman, the smaller Arab man, Arab man, there he is, simply looks to you. "Please, I must apologize for my friend. He suffers from the great illness of drink. He is a happy man through and through, but when he has drink, he forgets his head. Sometimes I have found it up his own ass."
Yeah. Kadir will also go, "I see. Is he too filled with liquid freedom to possibly hear a possible business venture?"
"For that man, unless you are looking for are you looking for a musician, then you look no further. I am a bard by trade. He is a bard because the people from his village wanted him to get out." And as you're kind of continuously talking to those guys, uh, the person that Memnon recognizes, this guy right here, he gets up from his spot and he goes, he says to Memnon, "Don't I know you from somewhere?"
Yes, you do. I am the smith you purchased your weapons from. I am the smith who you accuse of selling you less than reputable quality armaments.
"And also, were you not the son of a whore that threw me across the room?"
If I recollect, I didn't quite throw you. You were so drunken that when I backhanded you, you just stumbled across the room.
As you as you say those words, he essentially goes, I am not drunk now. I can assure you of this. If you want to keep your tongue, I would suggest you stop wagging it and state why you are here. You don't seem the type that likes to get drunk nor fuck women.
That is right. I don't like to fuck women. I like to fuck boys. The big kind that run their mouth. Stain my reputation. Did I come to the right place for that? By present company, I think I have. Which is a threat that, if you want me to roll for one, I will roll it.
Yeah, please.
Would you want a manipulation intimidation or a strength intimidation?
No, manipulation, intimidation.
Modify that. One success.
As you say those words, he looks about ready to pull his his dagger out of his sheath to strike you when the large Nordic figure again kind of places his hand on both of your shoulders, and he goes, come now, we don't need another scuffle. You two talk a big game, but in the end, that is not what us men are here to do. We are not here to fight as if we were common men who have not grown their cocks nor their cock hairs. We are men who seek to talk business and pleasure. And this is a place of business and pleasure, I can assure you. And he just basically kind of you can feel his grip very tight, almost unnaturally so, as he kind of moves the both of you to a table to sit you down at. And he calls in a Slavic, in Nordic, to for the tender to bring everybody in that table and where you two are another round of their liqueurs, their ales, and what have you. It would be his treat. And there is much conversing and cheering as that happens. And then the very pissed gentleman, again, as he sits, kind of looks over to Memnon and then to Kadir. So, are you just here to try and humiliate me again? Is that what you want?
No. I've come here to set the record straight, to reclaim my honor. Your accusation suggests that I would take your gold and give you weapons that were of dubious quality. It's not something I can abide by. And out of character, Evan, did Memnon see Erden at the last Elysium? I can't remember if he was there or if it was another gangrel there. I ran across him before.
I'm fairly certain you have. Either that or you encountered Thorvald. I believe at the Elysium you did see Erden.
Was it the Primogen who purchased armor for Thorvald, or was it Erden?
No, Erden did.
Okay.
The Nordic, the large Nordic man is the one who purchased armor from you.
Oh, okay. So Memnon would definitely recognize him.
Yes. Well, I mean, it'd be kind of hard to. It'd kind of be hard to not remember a very large Nordic man, specifically because a Nord all the way in the Middle East would be quite unheard of.
Definitely stand out. Definitely stand out. Okay. Um. Well, okay. Memnon would try to say that maybe loud enough, or when Erden is an earshot, because he would address that. He would say to the man sitting across from him, "You can ask your Nordic friend the quality of my wares. I do not know where the failing came in. It's not by he who crafted your armaments."
And as you say that, he goes, "So you are saying that it was in me and my friends? That the failure was with us? We were trained soldiers before we became mercenaries. We fought against." He looks to Kadir for a moment, and he just blatantly says that we killed many a damn Saracen and their wives. We know our way around blades and armor.
And perhaps it might be a cause of a beast who ripped you and some of your friends apart. Perhaps you brought the wrong weapon to the wrong enemy.
And what do you know about this beast that you think you know so much about what you should use against it?
All I know is that if one beast alone could kill how many of your friends, despite all that steel, clearly, whether the blade's edge was dulled or not, beast is not natural. Why, I could beat a common wolf with a stick to death. I wouldn't blame the stick if I fell to such a beast.
If a man like you could kill a wolf with such a stick, then I would have to call you Heracles.
Well, it would be a big stick.
So what is it then that you want of me?
There is a person that is interested in tackling this beast. They would like to question you as to the details of what you saw, perhaps how you approached it, to learn a little bit more of this beast's nature.
He rubs his chin a bit. So then what is it that I can do then? Or my friends, except to get drunk, beat other people, fuck whores, and do it again and again and again until I die.
Um, I'm about to use dominate here. Memnon's gonna say, I would suggest you bring your friends to, don't know off the bat, top of my head exactly the, Memnon knows the location of where the prince resides. I just, off the top of my head, don't know where it's in the city. Memnon would say to go there, and introduce yourself to this particular individual.
Okay. Okay. Roll that, please.
Sure.
And that's going to be a go to that location. That's command, but that's I think it's a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, I'm using level 2. I'm using
Okay.
level 2.
Yes.
May I roll perception awareness or wits awareness to notice him possibly?
If you want to, yes.
Said. Oh,
I don't know what the diff is, but
that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
No, like you got it. Like even if it was just like a difficulty 7, you still got like 3, and you would still have like at least 2, or So I think you have plenty.
As Menom is going through his conversation, Kadir will focus on Menom for a moment, and it's best the way to put it. It's kind of a look of surprise and acknowledgement, but other than that, he doesn't really show anything else with his body language.
Okay. As Memnon kind of goes over what it is that these gentlemen are to do, they nod their heads in agreement, and the gentleman gets up from his from the seat, and he goes, uh, very well then, if that is what will fix all of this madness, then so be it. But do not think that I owe you anything for this. And he and the uh, other men leave, and as as they do so, Erden sits down with his with the various drinks, and he goes, "Oh, they're leaving already."
I've just gave them an opportunity. Return. Are they your men, Erden?
Them, no. They're simply men that I've been keeping an eye on for a while. They've been going around the various taverns talking about this thing, and I've been keeping an eye on them as best as one can. Besides, it's interesting. It's interesting to see the notions of this creature. Makes me want to go out and hunt it myself.
You and I both. It would not bode well for a creature who steel and a sharp edge does not work upon. I am perplexed by the nature of this thing.
Then perhaps then we should look into it then. If you are a investigative sort, I don't know of your. And he looks to Kadir again. Of your effeminate friend, but if he can wield a blade, I see no reason he cannot.
Kadir will look over to, is it Erdi or Erdin?
Erdin.
Okay. Erden. It's like, I've been a part of many hunts, but I typically track and stymie the prey. I don't actually kill it.
Then all you do is scare it a little bit.
A prey that is not aware of its verge of its advantage and disadvantage is easier prey to catch.
He goes, maybe so, but it is unpredictability that is far more interesting. It is not having an advantage nor disadvantage. It's knowing that either one can shift in a moment. That is far more interesting. But please, you do you in your you.
Well then, Erden, perhaps some night we can arrange a hunting party together. I would be honored to hunt with you and yours.
He nods and goes, I can certainly attempt to, but I will have to get a decent group together. There's been a lot of changes within the city, and with it, a lot of shoes that need to be filled.
Is there anything I may provide assistance for?
He thinks for a moment. Can you make a cold iron?
Kadir raises an eyebrow at such a thing, and he'll actually kind of say it. Do you think, as skilled as I believe Midnam is, do you see him as some type of witch? That
Cold
capability.
iron?
Yeah, he said cold iron specifically. So,
I'm out of character. I'm not sure what that is.
Basically, cold iron is iron that has been bewitched in some way or another. Usually done with kind of very cold. I believe it's like a cold alchemical like reactions or something like that. Essentially, a magical blade, more or less.
Okay. Would that then require some kind of like blood sorcery?
Probably, yes.
Okay. Memnon would say, I can shape the iron, but such crafts are beyond me. If I could find a person to teach me, I would learn it just to craft this iron for you. But unless you know some teacher, I'm afraid that I could not.
what he asks is nearly in tale is a nearly in wives' tales. Cold iron is not something that is obtained; it's typically given.
What exactly is the effect of this cold iron?
Rumors say they can destroy certain creatures. I hear that the things of whimsy and the old tales of the Fae I heard from the north don't care for cold iron.
And he goes, not only that, but there's a bit of practicality with such a weapon. if, as that gentleman's words pertain, that the regular blades and armor did not stop the beast, and perhaps it is not, perhaps it is the blade ship.
Memnon shoots Erden a look about that. I can assure you, quality of my blades, perfect.
Yes, but if the quality of the blades, regardless of that, cannot cut through whatever it is that the creature is, then that could only mean that it is not a natural creature.
Ah, okay, sorry, out of character. I got that confused. My bad. Right.
Gentlemen, at this point we are describing ourselves as witch hunters attacking a mystical beast. Should we not leave this to the proper
You
authorities?
would dedicate the time to do it.
And sorry,
what-
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I didn't hear your voice because it's coming in a little laggy, so I didn't mean to talk over what you said. Ah.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Well, Erden, do you know where from I may learn this secret of forging cold iron? Good place to start.
That Erden shakes his head. That is what I am unsure of. I have heard that there are some, and he kind of looks about. He knows that Memnon is of the blood. I don't think he knows that Alkadir is. He goes, there are some rumors of in the city wizardry of some sort. The he looks again to Kadir, and he kind of smells you to kind of get a scent of you.
I don't necessarily have much help, but my path rating is high enough to simulate the effect.
And he looks to Memnon and he goes, and is this gentleman of good repute?
Memnon is actually probably going to betray a look of, I didn't actually consider that this whole time. He's going to look at Al-Qadir and then look back at Erd and say, I've just gotten acquainted with the gentleman. Haven't quite pried into his nature. At the moment, we are just business partners.
Erden just kind of nods very slowly, kind of a little like very much like an animal, very kind of distrusting. And he goes back to Memnon. He goes, there are wizard types that use blood. Perhaps they know. I've heard. Yes.
When you say wizards and blood, Kadir sighs a little bit, and this is definitely a sign of distaste. And he'll look over to Erden and Memnon. This explains much more then. And he'll look over to Erden. That's like, simply using the word wizardry would have been fine. Talking about, as he says in the hush, the thieves of the wizard thieves of the families in such a manner is not necessary.
He simply shrugs his shoulders. I simply state a thing that has happened and how they have been described. That is all that I can properly describe. But if they would be the ones I would assume would know of such smithery as cold iron. And if it is successful, then not only is the beast dead, a reward given, perhaps title, and other delights.
And say, be that as it may, it would be on the condition that these wizard smiths would part with such knowledge. Though I think it would be worth looking into. Kadir, you seem to object to bringing them into this situation. Do you have perhaps another remedy?
Gentlemen, as he looks between them, and if there is a barmaid or anything like that, he would want to hail her over and ask, what's the price for renting a room for a few hours?
She says that it is. It's basically roughly 20 pieces. Basically an hour.
And
since most people go up there for certain things.
He'll pay for two, and he'll stand. Because, gentlemen, I think privacy is in order, please.
Yeah, Memnon would follow if Erden is, willing to look through in private.
Erden will follow.
And once we arrive in the room and the doors close behind, Kadir will say in somewhat of a mild tone, I guess proper introductions are in order then. As he looks over to Memnon, from your display of using the forceful mind and description of your immense strength, you must be that of the Shadow Clan.
Good guess. And where would you hail from?
I am Asamite.
Not quite what I expected, but we all don't need to fit into prerequisite archetypes.
Erden just simply goes, I think mine is fairly obvious.
Outlander. Mangrel.
He chuckles a bit. I was hoping you would have said Tory.
Oh, if only if you were less eloquent.
Perhaps you should careful with such words when you meet a Toreador. I know that there are two now within the city. One who has quite a skill with the blade, but too, what is the word that I should say? Her head is too far into the clouds. lurks and the primogen, from what I have heard. But anything that can ruin their uh, night is one that I can simply enjoy.
The Toreador will do as the Toreador have a tendency to do. To gather attention and to gather information. But it seems that we have taken upon ourselves to be minor hounds upon the city. So this thing is that of the supernatural. It's not some just unusual beast. Are we correct?
I would assume so.
And Kadir will look over to Memnon. I would not advise dealing with. And he kind of hesitates to his words, but then he just continues on with the thieves, with the wizard thieves. They cannot be trusted. I, however, am a man of great integrity and honor, as a child of Hakim, and that of the sorcerer caste. I could have the capabilities of making this gold iron item for you.
Yes, that is possible. I have heard that the Assamites have certain different individuals with skills of that nature. But what do you want in return is the real question here.
Well, I would say this as a simple offering at this point. This is a blight upon the city and a blight upon the farmlands. We should see this less as individual gains and more of an assistance to the city itself. Nor Cainite nor human should be terrorized by some creature that is immune to mortal weapons. So see this as a simple gesture of gratitude, as I am a new resident among this city.
Memnon would he would say, offerable indeed. Tell you anything that would be concerning to the craft, steel, iron, and metals. I would like very much if I could learn this secret to crafting cold iron. In return, name your price. None has much to offer.
Unfortunately, I am no position to teach these particular arts. I am more than willing to assist, though.
Very well.
I have capabilities of manipulating the spirits of the sky. Possibly with using generated water, you could use that to cool the yeah. You can use that to help forge these particular items. And I have books that could possibly lead me in the right direction of what materials you would need to make this even more efficient.
Very well. I hope you can stand the fires of a forge. It does get hot there.
As a member of the Shadow Clan, I see that you have great fortitude as well. I don't believe your family cares much for the sun or much for the fire. Not as bad as the degenerate Sedites, but
It is but another obstacle to be overcame.
Erden simply goes, in any case, sorcerer, if there is a way for that blade to be produced, then I will gladly wield it into battle against this creature. And you know of the Gangrel and the Assamite friendship.
And Teal actually kind of looked with somewhat surprise. Oh, really?
Yes. You're not the only clan that has a certain distaste for the wizards. Perhaps this will be an opportunity for your clan to deliver a blow to their egos.
There is definitely a gleam in his eye as you bring that up.
And for Memnon, well, I am certain we can spin a reveling tale of his blade work, helping to weaken the beast before we deliver the final blow. And there will come many heroes who will want to purchase his Goliath-slaying armors.
Oh, trust me, Arden. Whatever I craft for you, I would like one for myself. 'Cause I do plan on being there on the battlefield with you.
And I will make sure that all three of us have each our own grand parts when this ballad is complete.
Then, to make this official amongst ourselves, Kadir will bring out actually under part of his robes, parchment and ink and not quill, but small tin, reinforced tin as a kind of a makeshift pen, and he will begin to write. And and as he writes, he basically states their communication of this particular arrangement and what each will provide. And he'll make a specific clause that none of this will come into validity until Kadir can produce the knowledge and the techniques to actually make this equipment. So we're not bound each other until Kadir brings forth his part of the deal, as he feels that is the most pertinent. And once each member has able to bring their particular particular tender to the table, he says a simple favor for a favor would suffice if all were to agree to this.
Yes, Memnon would definitely agree to this.
As will Erden, and I think that will be a good point for us to finish this little scene. I think of a small alliance drawn up in the dark and hidden rooms of a horribly named tavern, but with it there is the potential for things to move and shift, things in incredible ways. Perhaps this is the moment the beast dies. Or it could be the final curtain call. We will find that out at another time, as all three will begin work on a grand hope to save the city anew.